Hey guys, Hayden here again from AlarmSystemStore, and today we're going to be taking a look at the SEM300. And this is the Alarm.com dual path communicator for Honeywell systems. This is the SEM300-VT, as in Victor Tango. But essentially, we've had this one on our site for a good while now. It's very similar to the 210 and the 110 that they had prior to that. So if you have any experience with it whatsoever, it's very similar. But we never made a video on this one in particular, so I'm coming back around to do that. Basically, what we're going to do in the video is we're going to hook it up to an alarm system, and I'm going to basically simulate the process of activating an Alarm.com account with it. So this one is fairly simple compared to some other systems. Basically, you just attach it, wait until your Alarm.com account's created, and then you boot it up with the panel. And I'll explain that a little bit better soon, but essentially, real quick, we're just going to take a look at what you get in the box. So basically, this is it. You get the SEM300 itself. This is the whole unit. There's no antennas that stick out or anything like that. It's just this plastic box. Everything's built in. You do get mounting hardware and a QR code paper for the Alarm.com manual if you want it. And then you also get with it one red battery cable wire, and that is so that you can power the SEM300 from your system's backup battery. And that way it's not drawing from the CORBUS, so you can avoid adding more power strain if you do happen to have a lot of devices connected to your system, a lot of modules, whatever the case might be. So in this video, we're going to use this wire to power the SIM. But we also need 3 additional wires. So I have one 4-wire cable here, and we're just going to be using the black, white, and green of it, or black, yellow, and green, whatever you may have. And we're just going to ignore the red wire on this cable. So basically, I'm just going to pull the camera over here. I got a Vista 20 sitting over here that we're going to connect it to. And then I'm basically going to run you guys through the process of getting connected to Alarm.com. This is specifically going to follow our process, AlarmSystemStore. So if you have a different company that you're working with, it might be a bit different, but the installation process is the same. So this is more specifically for our customers getting set up on Alarm.com, but it should be valuable information for anybody that is installing one of these units. And if you happen to have a Vista 20 and you're looking for a way to set up cellular or internet connectivity to your unit, these are some of the most perfect units to use. They're pretty much plug and play, very simple to work with, and Alarm.com service is the most integrated service we have as far as being able to troubleshoot and diagnose issues from like the dealer end. So if you happen to have any issues whatsoever, we can take a look at your system from our side and see what's going on. So if you're interested in that, by all means, check us out at AlarmSystemStore.com. We have the communicators, we carry the service for Alarm.com as well, everything you need to get this set up. So give us a shout and we'll help you get it set up. But otherwise, we'll get started. I'm going to move the camera over here, show you guys how to connect it to the panel, and then we'll run through the process of activating the unit. All right, so we have our system here. This is our Vista 20. I've taken everything off of it, so it's completely fresh slate so that you guys can see a little bit better inside here what I'm doing. Basically, the first thing we need to do, though, is open up the communicator itself. So these units have a screw on the bottom side, so we do need to take that out. And once you got that removed, you'll see 2 little push tabs here. So push on those, and then this cover here pulls off this way. So push it in, and then once it's released from the clips, you can just pull directly off like that, and there is your unit. So down here is your wiring terminals. This is where you're going to connect the 4 wires that we spoke about a moment ago. It's got a 6 to 15 volt terminal, a yellow terminal, green terminal, and a ground terminal. So basically we need the one red wire going to the 6 to 15 volt terminal there, and then the other 3 are going to be attached to the yellow, green, and the ground. So first off, go ahead and get the red wire connected. Now I will mention there are a few tabs on here you can knock out for your wiring. So it's got one on either side here, and then it's got two in the back there. So you can knock those out and feed your wires through there if you want to, however you want to do it, whatever's easiest for you. I'm not going to be doing that in this video because I'm not actually attaching it to a wall or anything. I'm just kind of setting it up. So I'm just going to feed it in there like that. And then we need to take our other 3 wires. So like I said, our black, yellow, and green, or black, white, and green. And basically our yellow/white is going to go in the yellow terminal. The green is going to go in the green terminal. And then the ground is going to be the black wire. All right, so this is what it should look like when you are done wiring the communicator. So you got your red wire there on the right, and then yellow, green, and black following. So now we need to connect it to the panel. So I'm gonna move this over here. We're gonna set our red wire out of the way because that's gonna be going to the battery. So with our black, yellow, and green wires, we are going to connect the black wire to terminal number 4. So that is right here. It might be kind of hard to see on the camera, but basically you can just count the terminal numbers if you need to. But number 4 is right here, and that is going to be our black wire. So slide that up in there, connect that. And then green is going to be terminal number 6. And then yellow is going to be terminal number 7. So most people will have wiring in these terminals. Basically, you're going to have keypads connected here, zone expanders, so on and so forth. There will be stuff in there, so try to make sure that you get a solid connection for your wiring. If the wiring isn't correct whenever we boot this system up, it's not going to allow the SEM to sync properly, and that's going to cause problems. So it's fixable, it's just, it adds time and it's kind of a pain. So now that we have those 3 wires connected, we're gonna hold off on the red wire for now. Basically what you wanna do is you wanna have your alarm.com account created prior to plugging in the communicator so that the system can sync and send that initial message, that communication, properly. So what we're gonna do real quick is I'm gonna hop over to the computer. I'm gonna show you guys the activation form. I'm gonna show you what an email looks like as if you've been activated. Basically, once we've created your alarm.com account, we will tell you, go plug in the SEM, and then it will run through the process. So I'm gonna show you guys that process real quick, and then we'll be right back to boot this up. All right, guys, so basically, whenever you make your purchase for the alarm.com service from AlarmSystemStore, you're going to receive an email like this. It's an automated email, so it'll have your name up there at the top, and it's just going to have all this same information in it. So basically, it's just instructions for both the DSC and Qualsys panels as well as Honeywell panels like the one we're working with. Each one has its own set of instructions because they are activated differently. So basically for the Honeywell system, you activate the service first and then you boot up the SEM. So in the email, we have to be a little bit overly careful, so it specifically states not to install or power up the SIM. So if you want to get to the point that I've gotten to in this video, that's more than fine. Power down your system, plug in the black, yellow, and green wires, and let it sit there, but do not actually power up the SIM yet. Basically what you need to do is you need to come in here and come down to this very bottom link, and this is your activation form. So whenever we open this up, this is going to bring you to a page on our website. This page is basically just a form that you fill out. So you're going to put your order number, which that's going to show up on the receipt you get after you place your order. It will start with an S. Moving on, you'll put your name, and then under that, you're going to put the alarm.com account information. So this is important because this is the information that we plug in for the alarm.com account. So whatever name and email you put in here, that is going to be the main login, the master login for this alarm.com account. So put whoever's going to be the main user of the alarm.com account here. Put your email, the phone number for that person. If it is a business, please list the business name here. Put the address where the equipment is installed. So this is the address of where the system is installed at. Below that, we need a billing name, a billing email, and a billing address if it's different from the installation address. Below that, we need the make and model of the alarm system that this SEM is being used with. So you can just put Honeywell Vista. It's better if you put a 15P, a 20P, so on and so forth. That way we know what you're working with, so we know the limitations. But to the best of your knowledge, put the make and model of the alarm system there. And then we need the make and model of the ADC device to activate. So this one can be a little bit confusing to some people. Usually with the Qualsys, it's the most confusing because they have internal communicators. But for the Honeywell Vistas, you're going to put the SEM300. So this is mainly here because there are some SEM210s that were LTE compatible. So that tells us what device you're basically using, just in case you do have a 210 that you're trying to reactivate or whatever the case might be. The last option is the IMEI number on the ADC device. So whenever you receive your communicator, if you have one already or if you're getting one ordered, whenever you receive it, there will be a sticker, usually inside the SEM, that has this IMEI number on it. It's a 15-digit number. There are no letters or special characters. It is 15 numbers long. So make sure you get all this information as accurate as possible and then come down here and click submit. So this last line right here, it actually says, if we receive this form by 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we can usually have your account created by the end of the day. Sometimes, even if it comes in a little later, usually by 3 p.m., as long as there's not a slew of activations we're doing that day, we will be able to activate your alarm.com service. So if you followed me up till this point in the video, leave the communicator unpowered or depowered, submit this form, and then unfortunately you do just have to wait a little while. You will be put in our activation queue, and one of our activation team members will get to you as time permits. So once you have submitted your form, like I said, you'll just have to wait a bit, but eventually you will receive an email that looks like this. So once we get into this email, you'll see the very first line says, I have activated your alarm.com service. So that's telling you that you have an alarm.com account created, and now it is time to follow the additional instructions that were in the previous email. They are also reiterated here in the bold and red area. So basically it says, make sure your installer code is the default 4112. Now, you can do this prior to any installation whatsoever. You can do it at this point where we're at in the video, where the black, yellow, and green are connected to the panel, but the SEM is not powered up. Whatever the case is, just make sure that your installer code is set to the default 4112. As long as it is, you can go ahead and power up the SIM. So that's what I'm going to be doing in a moment when we jump back to the panel. But because there are two ways to wire this is where you got to be a little bit careful. So if you're following me exactly like I'm doing it in the video and you're using battery power, at this point you can go plug in your unit. If you are using the CORBUS as your power for the SEM300, then you need to reboot the system or boot the system as a whole. So basically, all that means is if you have all 4 wires already connected to the panel and you've powered it up once before, go unplug the panel, disconnect the battery for 10 seconds, and then plug it all back in. Upon booting up, the panel is going to go through a sync process with alarm.com. That sync process basically pulls all the information from the panel and makes the initial connection to alarm.com. That initial connection with alarm.com is the most critical step to this. If it does not do that properly, then we will have troubles whenever you guys go to log into your account. If you go to mess with the panel, or if you go to get into your alarm.com account and get logged in. So make sure you're following this very carefully. But basically, after we plug the system back in or reboot it, whatever the case is, you have to wait 15 minutes. Usually it is quicker than 15 minutes, but always give it at least 15 minutes before you go to either the Get Started link or you proceed with any more of your activation. So I'm going to be showcasing that in just a moment, like I said, but basically this is where you are able to actually sync the system. So if you do have interactive service, wait to click the Get Started link until that 15 minutes is up. And basically all it's going to do is it's going to have you create a password. You're going to get in there. You're going to agree to the Alarm.com terms and conditions for using their app. And then it will run you through a tutorial where it tells you about the app. At this point, after all that is done, if you do want your installer code to be something custom, you can go back in and change it after that 15 minutes. And the only other main thing that you guys need to pay attention to is this last line. So what we have done so far in this video, and as far as this simulated activation goes, this is just activating your Alarm.com service. If you purchased monitoring as well, that is a totally separate activation. So after this point, after your Alarm.com account is created, that is when you can proceed with the central station activation. So it says right here, please be advised that this activation is for Alarm.com service only. If you purchased alarm monitoring service in addition to this, that is a separate activation. Contact alarms@alarmsystemstore.com to arrange for activation and testing of that service. By the time this video comes out, this contact alarms@alarmsystemstore.com will actually be CS or CSR at alarmsystemstore.com. But because this is linked right here, whatever this email is, all you have to do is click on this and it will open up a fresh email going to that email address. So pretty simple. Just put in there central station activation for the title. Say, I'm ready to activate my central station service. If you want to do it right after your Alarm.com activation, that's fine. If you want to play around with Alarm.com for a week or so and get used to it and then activate Central Station, that's perfectly fine as well. So let's jump back over to the panel and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when the system is syncing. All right, so now that you guys know how the actual activation process goes, we are going to just boot the system up. And I actually have the system up already. We're just booting up the SEM300 because we're using battery power. So right now I'm just connecting the system to the battery, the negative wire, and then whenever you're ready, like I said, whenever you get that email and it tells you to boot your system up, basically just take your red battery cable and this is a double quick connect terminal. So basically the female end is going to attach to the battery and then your actual battery cable from the system is going to connect to this top male end. So I'll show you guys that. But basically just plug the wire up into your battery. And then I'll bring the SEM over here real quick. So as you can see, we have lights. All these lit up just a moment ago. It does an initial boot up sequence where all the lights will come on. And then basically what we're looking for is something like this. So basically the system's gonna do a bunch of wonky stuff for a few minutes. Do not touch the system for 15 minutes. So basically what it is doing is that SEM is going through and it's actually programming all of the parameters that it needs to run properly. So it does that, and it also pulls all the information from your panel as well. Sometimes you won't actually see it scroll through like that. Sometimes it just says modem COM on the screen. If you see modem COM or you see it doing all that nonsense that it was doing a minute ago, going into the programming on its own and stuff, do not touch it, wait 15 minutes, and then we can go back and we can get logged in by using that Get Started link that we got earlier. So that really is the entire process for connecting the SEM300 to a Vista panel. Real quick, like I mentioned, so after we have this quick connect attached to the battery, like I said, you can take your positive battery cable from the panel and that's going to fit on this top quick connect male end right there. So essentially, the system is going to see that it is connected to the battery, and the SIM is also using that battery power as well. But at this point, like I said, you are pretty much done. Just give the panel 15 minutes to let it finish what it's doing. It might beep a bunch, it might sound like a trouble condition's going off, it might sound like it's just pressing buttons on its own. That is all normal. It is just going through that sync process. So wait for it to be done, go back into your email, click on that get started link, and it's gonna have you make a password, and you're gonna be able to get set up and start using your service. Now, if you don't have interactive service, you will not get a get started link. If you're just using the SEM300 to send signals to a central station, then you won't get that get started link, but you still do need to do this process. After the 15 minutes is up for the sync, that's when you can test the system, and you can get, that's when you can test the system and make sure that your signals are getting through to the central station. So, but like I mentioned, that's all there is to this installation. It's pretty straightforward. Like I mentioned, you got 4 wires that you need to connect. You're gonna have your red battery cable that comes with the SEM. You need 3 additional wires, and they don't have to be very long. This thing can go right above the panel if it needs to. If you want to, you're also able to run it up to 95 feet from the panel. So if you want to run it up higher in the house, put it in, you know, a higher bedroom where you'll get a better cell reception signal, whatever the case is, by all means do so. But that's pretty much it. The only thing I think I didn't mention is the Ethernet connector right here. So this unit uses primary cellular communication, but if you want to, you're welcome to plug an Ethernet cable into this little dongle here, and that will give you IP backup. So if the cell ever fails, or if it's ever downloading updates, it will do those over IP. So it just kind of speeds up some of the processes that it does and gives you some redundancy. So, like I said, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully that was informative for those of you out there that are trying to activate. If you do have any troubles whatsoever, though, let us know. We will help you out and get you set up. And if you're interested in alarm.com service, by all means, check us out. Like I said, we have the communicators, we have the service, we have cameras, the whole bit. So just check us out at alarmsystemstore.com. And yeah, that's going to do it for me. So if you guys are on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you're on our website and you happen to see this, let us know if you need any help, but hopefully you're finding what you're looking for. I will catch you guys on the next one.